Yes, people, we got some news to talk about today. For starters, if you watched my news video from a few days ago where it was announced that there might be a big giant series and Jump ending, we have some pretty much solid concrete confirmation on that end, which again, it's always a bummer. I hate when a very big show that, you know, a lot of people love, or manga, or whatever the case may be, ends, because, you know, endings is always sad, you know what I'm saying? So we got some confirmation on that. We also got a really big update on the One Piece live action Netflix. They actually came out with a little bit of information and everything that's going on in the world regarding diversity and whatnot. It was kind of interesting to see them take a stance that they did, and we're going to talk about that one as well. Also, a giant breakout hit from, I want to say it's from Shonen Jump Plus. It's not in Shonen Jump, and it's more of like a family-oriented manga, but it's really, really good. It's showcasing like huge success. I'm talking about like millions of copies sold in only a few volumes, like 4, I think, like crazy shit. So we're gonna talk about that as well. And lastly, seems as though the Black Clover manga, as great as it's been, because it's been absolutely on fire, like it's been ever since the Spade Nation and the time skip start, it's been great, doesn't seem to be flying off the shelves like we would have hoped. So we're gonna talk about all of that. Let's jump into Fornever news, Fornever's A&M, whatever it is, we're gonna talk about it. Anime and manga news, baby.
I say we gonna do what we do, no matter how you move, make your move. That's how it be though.
Okay, people, so y'all remember the video I made a few days ago regarding that Haikyuu was seemingly coming to an end. There was a Jump Giga magazine that's coming out that on the cover had a bunch of series that had ended, and it had the main character Hinata from Haikyuu on the cover, so a lot of people were speculating that this was going to be the end. Well, it seems as though, and I want to say the latest issue of Shonen Jump, they confirmed that this is actually the climax within the next chapter or 2 of Haikyuu, which means that more than likely it's going to be ending, because they already announced that it was in its final arc back in October of last year, if I'm not mistaken. Let's read the press release and we'll talk some more. But yep, another one bites the dust. It seems as though Shonen Jump is back on their purge stuff, and we'll talk about that in a second. Let's read the article. Haikyuu manga reaches climax of final arc. Next 2 issues of Shonen Jump to include extra long chapters. This year's 31st issue of Shueisha's weekly Shonen Jump magazine revealed on Monday that Haruichi Furudate's Haikyuu manga will reach the climax of its final arc in the 32nd issue on July 13th. The next 2 issues of the magazine, issue 32 and 33, will include extra long chapters. The manga will feature on the cover of the 32nd issue, and the new chapter will have an opening color page. The manga entered its final arc on October 28th, and Furudate launched the original manga in 2011, and Shueisha published the manga's 41st volume on January 4th. So yeah, over 40 volumes of Haikyuu out, and it seems as though, as we kind of talked about in the last video, Haikyuu will be ending here in July. And I mean, don't get me wrong, from everything I've heard, it seems as though it's having a great ending. It's not being rushed, opposed to like there was a lot of backlash with the ending of Demon Slayer, a lot of backlash with the ending of Promised Neverland. I'm not hearing the same thing with Haikyuu. A lot of people are saying that it's ending appropriately, it's not rushed, there's nothing wrong with it. So I'm glad that the author is seemingly being able to end it on their own terms. Also, 40 plus volumes, that is a great freaking run. And it's just weird, like what I mentioned earlier about the purge. It seems as though now Shonen Jump, and I don't know, maybe if that's been since the beginning of time. I haven't been obviously reading Shonen Jump since its inception and whatnot, but it seems as though every few years now they are doing a purge of manga and Jump, and they are just absolutely getting rid of a ton of titles. Like, we just already lost Demon Slayer, we lost Promised Neverland, we're losing Haikyuu now, we lost Yuna-san, which was another big one that a lot of people really liked and enjoyed. So that's 4 titles, and I remember this happening, I want to say it was maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, where it was just like everything, they were getting rid of Kochikame, Gintama ended, Bleach ended, Toriko was cancelled. It seems as though like every few years they want to just wipe the slate clean and start off some fresh stuff, even though it's potentially to Shonen Jump's detriment, because you got to think, like, a lot of people pick up that magazine or are invested in that magazine for said series. Now, don't get me wrong, on the flip side of it, even though, yeah, it's probably going to decrease some of the, you know, readers and maybe bring in some new ones when new series pop off, but then at the same time, these titles that can go on to be bigger giants, because fresh stuff that explodes with popularity is always going to bring in more money than, not always, I don't want to say always, because there's some stuff when it's in its climax, but a lot of the times it has a better shot at, like, okay, bam, the next big one, Mashal, if it gets a hit anime, is going to be a whole new revenue stream for them. So there's like a flip side to it of like, hey, fresh stuff can bring, you know, some new fans and exploding new popular stuff, but then also you're putting to bed a huge amount of fandoms. Like Promised Neverland has a huge fandom. Haikyuu has been top 10 manga selling for the last few years. Definitely took the torch after Kuroko no Basket finished. Like once Kuroko ended, Haikyuu became the sports series flagship title for the longest time. So seeing another one bite the dust, it seems as though Shonen Jump is doing their routine purge of getting rid of a bunch of stories to start making waves for new stuff. And there's a ton of new manga too. Like, don't get it twisted, Haikyuu is a very beloved series that is ending, but there's new stuff like Chainsaw Man that is making great waves. Jujutsu Kaisen, the new anime is coming in October, I want to say. You got Mashal, you got Undead Unluck. So there are some great titles that are coming as well, but it's going to be a sad thing for a lot of the fandom to say goodbye to Haikyuu. Again, like I've said many times, I liked what I've seen of Haikyuu, and I know that a lot of people love it, so it sucks, but at the very least, everything that I'm hearing is that it's not going out in a bad way, opposed to like what everybody was saying with Promised Neverland and Demon Slayer, especially Demon Slayer. People hated that shit, like the ending, like whoa. Next up, we have seemingly an update on the One Piece live-action Netflix series. Now, a lot of people have been wondering what's up with that, what's going on. We get little updates here or there. I want to say it won't be till like next year until we actually get like really big announcements, but with everything that's been going on in the world, this is something definitely very noteworthy to talk about. And before we do that, let's actually read what's up and then we'll talk. Live action One Piece series teases diverse cast. Netflix is using Oda's own notes as a blueprint for casting. On Nami's birthday yesterday, the showrunner for the Netflix live-action One Piece series, Steven Maeda, asked fans who they'd like to cast as Nami for the series. Oh boy, there's so many, man, I'm not gonna lie. What? Giving people a last chance to throw their straw, even though I'm pretty sure they already have the cast. Just gotta throw that in there as well. Hats onto the ship before the cast is announced. Quote tweeting the official account from Netflix, which made the same request but in Swedish. While at this time no one from the cast has been announced for the series, the Netflix account for the adaptation, which is being overseen by manga creator Eiichiro Oda himself, responded to a fan's request to keep the cast diverse. Check out what they said below. Somebody said, please have a diverse cast. Doesn't at all have to be Nami, but would sincerely appreciate at least one Asian/Japanese actor in the main crew. And they responded with a mix of flags, and I want to say that these flags were actually all representing what Oda, a long time ago, the creator of One Piece, Eiichiro Oda, had said that the cast, their nationalities were going to be, their ethnicities and all that stuff. While these flags might seem random, the emoji flags Netflix used correspond with the ethnicities Oda himself laid out in the manga series for each of the characters if they existed on this earth. Though it should be noted that while Usopp is just noted as being from Africa in the manga, the flag used by Netflix was the Kenyan flag. When asked about having a diverse cast, the official live-action One Piece account responded back with the ethnicities that Oda himself decided on, which we'll look at them right now. It's basically Luffy would be from Brazil, Zoro from Japan, Nami from Sweden, Usopp from Africa. Y'all know, if you go back, I have a video a long time ago I made when I was catching up with One Piece, right? And I remember saying I really appreciated, and Usopp for the longest time was my favorite character. And one of the reasons why I loved Usopp was that it seems as though, to a certain degree for the viewer, because we're not all these fantastical, strong-ass beasts of, like, you know, hockey and all this shit. Usopp was just like the average dude that is just like, holy shit in this world. Usopp from Africa, Sanji from France, Chopper from Canada. Chopper is the only one I'm like, well, Chopper and Brook, I guess it's like whatever, but Chopper from Canada, Robin from Russia, Frankie from America, and Brook from Austria. Frankie from America is so fitting. Holy shit, that's so fitting. Like, honestly, out of all of them, I'm not even gonna lie, aside from, again, like Canada for Chopper, and I guess even though he's a skeleton, at one point he was human, so Brook, yeah. And I always thought it was dope that Usopp was from Africa. Like, shout out to Oda, that, because there's a lot of writers, there's a lot of companies, a lot of all sorts of things that are coming out, and some of them feel disingenuous about, you know, oh, we want diversity, oh, we're gonna show diversity and all that shit. Oda, since years ago, probably decades ago, has been putting out diversity with like having this cast of like, yo, this is what they would be. Especially like shout outs to Usopp from Africa, baby. I love to see it. Does this mean we have our live action Straw Hats already? Seeing which countries, which it doesn't necessarily mean that, but I'm almost sure with everything going on in the world right now that they're going to try their best to have a specific actor from a specific background to represent, because you know, you see in Hollywood right now, even though it's like, hey, we just want justice and we just want equality for everybody, but yeah, sure, Simpsons, why don't you just change so that people of color aren't played by just the silly shit that Hollywood has been doing. But since this is coming forth, and because Oda himself has been basically preaching diversity for the longest time with his series, having this as information of what the characters, what nationality and background they would have, really dope. And I'm really excited for this now. Like I've already been excited, but it seems as though with the live action One Piece Netflix, this might be a once in a millennia type of deal where they could very well pull this shit off. Like I'm starting to get optimistic, and I'm hoping that my optimism isn't shattered by a terrible adaptation. Like, you know, diversity is one of many things that would be dope for this. Like, don't get me wrong, I would love that. I would love to see representation of different nationalities, especially the Usopp bit. Like, Usopp has been one of my favorite Straw Hats since the beginning of time. I have a video talking about that from like 7-8 years ago. But there's still a ton of other stuff to get right, so we gotta wait and see. But either way, shout outs to Oda. Again, for a long time, he's been a mangaka that he's been like, yo, here's some diversity, baby. Like, I'm gonna show you diversity, before it was now a thing that people are like, hey, let's pretend we want diversity and shit like that. Like, no, Oda wanted diversity for a long time. Shout out to Goda. So in the beginning of the video, I told you guys that there's a manga that is exploding, that I believe it's from like Shonen Jump Plus or one of their various magazines, not the main Shonen Jump magazine or whatever. But one of the things that I was like, holy shit, is that it has just been confirmed that Spy X Family, with 4 volumes out, has already pushed 4 million copies. Let me explain to you how great that is. Dr. Stone, with 16 volumes right now, 16 just dropped, has about 5 million in circulation. And this one has, with 4 volumes, already 4 million in circulation. That is absolutely insane. And there's some people that might not be able to get into it. I don't know. I've read a handful of chapters. I loved what I've read so far, to be honest with you. It's basically like this family, there's assassins, a little girl that can read minds. Like, it's everybody can watch type of deal. And I could bet my bottom dollar that there's anime studios left and right that are going through bidding wars to get their hands on this. But that is huge. Major congrats to 4 million so far for Spy X Family. I see this becoming a very huge thing, and this could usher in a new wave of anime and manga that are trying to be a little bit more family oriented, where you could watch it with the family, as long as it's good, as long as it's not just trying to be like, oh, little Timmy is so cute. Like, as long as they're actually still giving us quality storytelling and quality characters and all that shit, I'm all for it. And I'm really excited that Spy X Family, a different type of series that is being pushed by the Shueisha branch and whatnot, 4 million, which again, like what Black Clover has like 25 volumes, Jesus Christ. And Black Clover is like at what, 10 or 11 million sales, and this one with 4 million sales. Yeah, very huge success. And the perfect transition, Black Clover. It pains me to talk about this. It pains me because Black Clover manga has been astronomically incredible the last, I don't even know how many months. Ever since the Spade Nation time skip, it's been great. I've been loving it. Varnica. Y'all know I rock with the Nation of Spade, the Dark Triad. It's just been great. And honestly, I was expecting a rise in sales, but the last 2, I want to say, consecutive weeks of manga sales, like, it doesn't have the actual sales as the rankings, but Black Clover hasn't been doing all that hot. Like, in the latest volumes, like, these were all series that just dropped recently, and with their latest volume, Demon Slayer 21, My Hero 27, Promise Neverland 19, Dr. Stone 16, Act Age 12, and Black Clover. And Black Clover came in 7th place in this roundup, and then I think in like the following week it came in 6th place with the latest volume. And these are volumes from the stuff with the Dark Triad and, you know, really great content. So it pains me to say that Black Clover, it should be doing better. Like, to be just keeping it 100. Y'all know I love Black Clover. That's one of my favorites in Shonen Jump right now. But to be honest with you, to be placing 7th with your latest volume behind stuff that doesn't even have an anime yet, like Act Age and Dr. Stone's anime didn't really take it off, and all of this stuff, like, Demon Slayer, no doubt about it. I didn't expect this to be Demon Slayer, but to be coming in 7th and even 6th the following week, it's still like, Black Clover. It sucks because I know for the longest time in the beginning especially, they wanted Black Clover to be the new Naruto in terms of popularity in Shonen. Doesn't seem like that's the case, and even though Tabata has been putting in work and creating very, very high quality chapters, it's kind of sucky to say that Black Clover just isn't doing as well as it should be doing. But I'm curious what you guys thought about all of these stories. For starters, what are your expectations for the One Piece live action Netflix now that they've confirmed as well some diversity? I like to hear that. I want to see it in motion though. Don't just tell me. Let me see what you're going to do. Who's going to play who in this upcoming live action series. Also, your thoughts on Haikyuu reaching its climax. Any fans? How do you feel about it ending? Do you think it has a proper ending? You think what I've been hearing is legit, that it's actually ending the way it should, opposed to like Demon Slayer and Promised Neverland? People say that, you know, those endings were terrible. Also, your thoughts on Spy X Family's phenomenal success, 4 million in 4 volumes. What are your thoughts on that? Have you checked it out? Are you gonna check it out again? It feels like family-oriented story, but it's really, really good. Like, I really like what I read so far. And your thoughts on Black Clover's manga not doing as well as it should be doing. You think that there's any hope to turn this around, or at this particular point it's probably hopeless just because, like, yo, the last, I don't know how many months of chapters have been incredible, and it still hasn't been enough to really push the series forward to be like an exploding success? Like, do you think that this could mark the end for the Black Clover manga, especially with like this giant purge that is seemingly going on of them ending shows left and right? I mean, I think that possibly could be to Black Clover's benefit, just because, like, yo, they just dropped some very, very huge series. Like, you really want to get rid of another big mainstay that at the very least on the anime side of things does very, very well, like Shonen Jump. Think about this carefully, okay? I'm sorry, I gotta get my little fanboy mode on. Think about this carefully before you get rid of that Black Clover greatness, alright? But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm Forneverworld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in.
Everything good always comes to an end. If you stab me in my back, we can never make amends. Trying to move to acceptance, hard to accept it. Mistakes like mirrors, gotta reflect it. I don't wanna fucking leave, but I gotta leave. Leave the maybes to the crazies. Maybe one day there I go, admitting something in a subtle way. No more copies, leave without a trace.